name's Blake. I've grown up around the Shire. I first came to C3 Home about 4 years ago actually for a one-off, and then we've been coming full-time, myself and my wife, for the last 2-3 years. So I came to be here by, I'm not real sure actually, kind of this, I've always had that feeling of that faith was meant to be in my life, but I never actually pursued it. We had some friends obviously trying to bring us to church, and we just went along just to see what it was all about. I grew up with my grandma. She was a Christian. She went to Anglican church in Janelli. So all my experiences from church were from her at a very young age. It was one of those very stereotypical old school like Christian churches where all the old people gathered on a Sunday and the young people were pretty much 10 and under. So that was all I knew of church, and then coming to C3, I learned otherwise. Yeah, growing up, I was never that person that knew a lot about the Bible, but I always had this deep feeling in me that there was something more to everything, and I've always questioned everything through life. And coming to Jesus, it was strange because I always knew that I'd end up being with Jesus and following Jesus and trying to do what he does. Not like he does, because no one can, but yeah. So coming into my early 20s, I went through a couple of rough years. Well, not rough years, but I went through a bit of a rough time. It was just a personal situation. It got to the point where I had nowhere to go to. I pride myself on being able to get through problems by myself, and I don't know why, that's just how I am, and it's hard to hand things over. But I was just getting real desperate one night, and I remember laying in bed and I said a prayer, and I remember saying to Jesus and God, I just said, listen, if you're there, I know I haven't spoken to you for a really long time, but if you're there, I need you right now, and I need a sign in my life to push me in the direction I need to go. I wasn't in a very good mental spot at that time. I actually asked in the prayer, I said, can you please make it a big sign, not just a little insignificant sign off in the corner. I need a big sign in my face. You need to tell me and make it clear. And the next morning I actually woke up to a text message that was a very clear sign of what I needed to do and where I needed to go. It was such a surreal moment, and that was a big defining point in my faith journey, and that was the start of it. Since then, it's obviously grown a lot. My faith has become stronger. Just those things of knowing to trust and hand it over. That's probably one of the biggest things that I've taken out of following Jesus actually, is I don't need to do it alone in this crazy world that we live in, everything that's happening and so much uncertainty. With faith, we can depend on Jesus, and everything's going to be it's going to be fine, and complete trust in it. I think when I turned to Jesus and that gradual sort of change, nothing happened overnight. It was all a real slow change. But just things that I used to do and I used to think were right, just worldly things, I suppose, I've changed massively in that aspect, because I've picked up on things that never used to bother me, but now I know it's not right, and I suppose it's a sin or whatever it may be. But things become real clear of what is right and wrong to me. I suppose I'm only at the start of my faith journey. I'm so new and fresh to all this. I haven't studied the Bible or anything like that. I know parts of it, but I do try to read the Bible most days in the mornings, and from that, I try to learn that little bit extra every day. So the advice that I'd probably give to someone in a similar sort of situation, they feel lost, they don't know where to go, they don't know where to turn, simply pray on it. God's always going to put his hand out to you. Something that I've learned massively as well over the last year or two is becoming a father, that father-son relationship, and sometimes you've got to let that person go through what they're going through, because what they're learning coming out of that experience is what's going to make them who they are and who they're meant to be. I suppose you call it growing pains. So the advice I could give is say a prayer on it, put your faith into it, and God always has your back.